From wherever you're watching us in Kenya and around the world, this is KBC Prime Edition, coming to you from Broadcasting House, right here in the capital city, Nairobi, Kenya. Good evening. My name is Mboya, topping this live broadcast. Deputy President says government to bank on technology for job creation.
It's not logical to impeach a governor even before she has laid the foundation of her government.
Can there be a law that governs within which period you can reasonably have been said to have had, broken the law to the extent of impeachment?
Embattled Meru governor. CUG throws its weight behind Kawira Mwangaza as Senate debates her impeachment tomorrow. Justice for baby Sagini, a cousin among the arrested suspects. Teachers recruitment exercise. MPs want Teachers Service Commission to prioritize those over 45 years old. Joining us a little later on this live broadcast on Perspective is Dr. Joshua Cheboi, Director of Kenya Research Institute, Kenya Forest Research Institute. He will be joining us to help us better understand the move to greening Kenya a little later on. So make sure you join us, our socials at KBC Channel 1, my Twitter handle at Tomboya24. Lensa Odingo is our sign language interpreter. The government is banking on science, innovation, and technology to spur job creation among the youth in a bid to decrease the unemployment rate in the country. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua noted that digital interconnectivity is the way the country should go so as to spur e-commerce, citing that government is willing to support startup technical firms. Here is that report that opens our coverage.
As the world migrates to the digital spaces and tech economy, the Kenyan government is keen on following the same path by growing the innovation and ICT sectors. To show its support to the sector, the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua attended the launch of All Borana Semiconductor Manufacturing System at Dedan Kimathi University of Technology in Nyeri.
This is one of the most advanced semiconductor manufacturing systems designed in Africa. It is a demonstration that we have the potential of leading the continent in all aspects of technology, in driving sustainable development towards the Kenya we want and the Africa we want, where nobody is left behind.
The Deputy President said that the ICT sector is an enabler of the country's economic growth through digital entrepreneurship.
By handing over this country, its systems, the infrastructure, the creativity, the innovation to our young population. That is our resource as a country, our young people.
The Deputy President of the Republic.
Meanwhile, the government has rolled out free public Wi-Fi at Nyeri Open Market as it steps up countrywide initiative to launch internet hotspots for traders across the country.
Wanaweza kutumia WhatsApp, watumie internet bila malipo yoyote, ndio zile pesa wangetumia kwa hiyo malipo ya kununua bundles waongeze kwa biashara. Huu mpango wa serikali tunataka kuweka Wi-Fi katika soko na mastage 25,000 katika Jamhuri ya Kenya.
The project is targeting market traders, food suppliers and transporters. For Prime Edition, I am Teresa Mutai.
Governors now claim their impeachment of Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza was based on flimsy ground. The Council of Governors Deputy Chair Hamid Abdullahi, who's also the governor for Wajir, says that members of the Meru County Assembly disrespected the decision of the electorate to impeach the governor 4 months into the office. The governors, however, want the Senate to follow due process in determining the fate of Mwangaza. Irene Muchuma reports.
The Senate will Tuesday deliberate on the fate of Meru County Governor Kawira Mwangaza after she was impeached last week by Meru County Assembly on gross misconduct allegations. The MCAs accused Mwangaza for alleged forced entry into Meru County Assembly and mobilizing unlawful riots against the ward representatives, violation of public finance management laws, and misconduct relating to the nomination of executive members of County Assembly. The Council of Governors, however, trashes the allegations, saying the impeachment was unwarranted.
It's not logical to impeach a governor even before she has laid the foundation of her government. That you don't like a person or the way they speak is not a reason to impeach a governor.
I think surely even our gentlemen governors here have their first ladies with them, and nobody seems to notice that.
The leaders said a trend on impeachment of governors would affect performance at the county level and wants Governor Mwangaza to be given time and space to put her house in order.
Laws governing recalling of MPs, for example, it says that you cannot recall an MP before 12 months, before 1 year has ended, and you can't also recall an MP in the last 1 year to election. So you have just the 3 years in between. So this is what we're also saying as governors. Can there be a law that governs within which period you can reasonably have been said to have had, broken the law to the extent of impeachment? The other more important aspect is the issue of the threshold. Because when they say gross violation of the Constitution, what are those thresholds and how do you measure them?
This is a person who was elected by the electorate in an election. She got votes directly from the voters. And even before she had set up structure of a government, MCAs don't like her and they want to use that as a reason to impeach her.
In Meru, a section of women wants her out of office, citing incompetence in governance.
Kesho watu ondolee huyu gavana, na hata kama ni gavana mwanaume tungemtoa tukiona ameshindwa kufanya kazi.
Earlier, a different group of women urged the Senate to apply wisdom while deciding the fate of Mwangaza.
Mturudishie yeye kama gavana wetu wa Meru atufanyie kazi, kwa maana inaonekana atatusaidia.
The Senate's debate on Mwangaza's impeachment follows a request by the Senate Majority Leader Aaron Cheriot and Meru County Assembly Speaker to deliberate on the matter. Meanwhile, the Council of Governors want Treasury to disburse funds to counties amounting to 77 billion shillings. Irene Mchuma, Odim, the Prime Edition.
Kenyan doctors have issued a strike notice over unfulfilled agreements slated for January of next year. The doctors, led by Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentist Union Secretary General Dr. Devji Binji, says that 2017 all the way to 2021 collective bargaining agreement signed after a protracted strike seems to have been thrown into the dustbin. They now want a meaningful engagement with the Health Ministry before the notice elapses by the end of this month.
Solidarity forever, solidarity forever.
The Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentist Union has vowed to down tools over delays to implement the collective bargaining agreement agreed upon by the union and the Council of Governors. According to Secretary General Dr. Devji Atela, the 2017-2021 collective bargaining agreement that was signed after a protracted strike still hangs in the balance.
This ruling came in October 2021. It has been 1 year without any meaningful results into this. We've written letters and we tried to have actions from the county and national government without any results. And therefore, by the time that you are giving the notice of intent to industrial action, we have exploited all the available avenues. We convene our National Advisory Council by the first week of January And I'm sure if we don't have a meaningful engagement within the month of January, then we will be proceeding for the industrial action.
Other issues being raised by the doctors is lack of a conducive working environment, delayed employment of graduate doctors, lack of adequate medical facilities, salary increment and posting of interns.
We have the issues of the call room that has not been implemented. We have the issues of the promotions that has not been implemented. We have the issues of employment, and these has remained unimplemented, and also the tools and equipment that doctors need to offer services to the public. This has remained a mirage to the doctors who work in the hospitals in the counties, both national and county governments. Say, hey!
The doctors were speaking at KMPDU headquarters in Nairobi. Opicho Chemtai for Prime Edition.
On to that story that has disturbed a sizable number of our viewers. A suspect linked to the attack of a 3-year-old Junior Sagini who was brutally attacked is in police custody. The suspect, Alex Ochogo, a cousin to Junior Sagini, was arraigned in a Kisii court and will remain in custody until the 23rd of December 2022. Trevor Ngendo with the details.
The accused, Alex Achoki, who is a cousin to the minor, will remain in police custody for 5 days, following an application filed by the court prosecutor Hilary Kaino, seeking to have Achoki detained to enable police to conclude the investigation. Appearing before senior resident magistrate Christine Ongweno, Kiano argued that having the suspect in custody would be for his safety from the agitated members of the community, being for his blood. The suspect is alleged to have been the last person seen with the minor before he escorted the mother to board a Nairobi-bound bus the following day.
Kabla usiku huo, wewe ambayo inasemekana kuwa ni cousin ya ule mtoto uliweza kuonekana ukiwa ama ukimpeleka yule mshukiwa mkuu kwenye eneo la kuabiri magari, na mshukiwa huyo anasemekana kwamba ameweza kutorokea sehemu za Nairobi.
The magistrate directed the suspect to be detained at Rioma police station until 23rd December 2022.
Sababu hizo wanaomba siku 5 ili uweze kuwasaidia maafisa ambao wanachunguza kesi hii katika uchunguzi, na uweze kuwasaidia kujua wale wengine walipo.
Previously, police had summoned Maureen Nyaboke, the victim's mother, over the bizarre incident that left baby Sagini blind. Sagini's 2 eyes were plucked out at Ikuruma village in Marani sub-county by unknown people who abandoned him in a maize farm at night. The minor was playing with other children when he suddenly disappeared. Trevor Ngendo for Prime Edition.
Well, now the Committee on Education has directed Teachers Service Commission TSC to prioritize employment of teachers above 45 years of age in the ongoing recruitment exercise. TSC, which also has been accused of laxity and alleged systems failure resulting to teachers shortage in the country, was also put to task over 720 million shillings released by the National Treasury, which was meant to recruit 6,000 interns over the last 6 months.
That because of some other factors, some other teachers were recruited younger, who graduated recently, leaving out teachers who are 45 by then or 44, who are now 46 years, who are now 47 years. Do you have any affirmative actions so that these teachers are actually recruited? Because failure for recruitment, it was your mistake.
It was a tough Monday for the Teacher Service Commission as they appeared before the Committee on Education.
I, Dr. Jamrik Muturi John, do swear that the evidence I shall give before this committee on the matters under its consideration shall be the truth.
The ongoing recruitment of 30,000 teachers as well as delays in promotion of teachers taking center stage.
Is the recruitment of 1 teacher per junior secondary school in line with the curriculum we have in CBC.
If a formula or whichever criteria was used can create a disparity of shortage
in the different counties has been shown, then how sure are we that even the process which we are going to use is not going to create more gaps?
What policies does TSC have in place for promotion of teachers active in serving capacity as administrators in ASAL and non-ASAL areas? How many teachers are acting as administrators for how long, and what is their job group?
In their defense, TSC said over the past decade, the Commission has not been given monies for teachers' promotion, which has left them in a limbo.
As a commission, we had factored in budget for promotion, a standalone vote, which was not given. So whatever we are going to use now is what we are getting from natural attrition. In this financial year, the next one, 2020-2024, we have given a standalone budget.
Of how much? When the advert is made, you may find there are only 15 vacancies for chief principals in Kenya. So this competition will produce who will be the 15 to fill the vacancies.
The Education Committee directing TSC to take advantage of the ongoing recruitment and settle the issue of delocalization of the 14,733 teachers who are currently seeking transfers.
So what are we doing so that an affirmative action is given to the locals of that particular county? Then when it comes to posting, then you can distribute them equally.
We considered, and I want to apologize, the affirmative action 5% is actually for the ourselves and staff areas.
At the same time, TSC has been urged to roll their sleeves and address understaffing that has affected learning in 12 counties. Ruth Wamboi reporting for Prime Edition.
Journalist Laban Cliff Onserio will be detained for 3 days by the Directorate of Criminal Investigations Anti-Terrorism Police Unit here in Nairobi. Onserio was allegedly found with a flash bang grenade Sunday, the 18th of December 2022 at the Holy Family Basilica basement. The anti-terror unit sought to be granted authorization to forensically examine Laban's electronic gadgets as investigations kick off.
Journalist Laban Cliff Onserio was arrested on Sunday, the 18th of December this year, after he was allegedly found in possession of a flashbang training system model 7290T stun grenade and allegedly threatened members of the public with imminent attack against them while holding the said grenade. Will now be detained for 3 days by the Anti-Terror Police Unit, ATTPU. The DCI unit says they acted after receiving information from the police that there was a terror threat at the Holy Family Basilica.
Is an instrument of mass destruction, should not be in possession of a citizen. And Your Honor, it is a matter of public interest that the bottom of this situation is discovered.
Given there are no compelling reasons to hold him, will be infringing on his right as an accused person, contrary to the provision of the Constitution. Maybe, Your Honor, the respondent is willing to deposit a cash bail.
It's alleged that Onserio could not give satisfactory reasons as to why he was in possession of the grenade and or produce a certificate allowing him to be in possession of the explosive. The Anti-Terror Police Unit now suspect Onserio could be in possession of more grenades and require a warrant to be allowed to conduct a search at his house located in Milimani, Upper Hill, Nairobi.
It's allowed, but with the modification that is to be held at ATP for 3 days. We shall mention this matter on 23rd of December at 12 noon.
Elsewhere, Clement Elasamisi, a resident of Nairobi, has been charged with intent to defraud Christopher Nyalenda Sino 1,866,000 shillings by pretending he was in a position to employ him as a driver at the judiciary. Clement pleaded not guilty to the charges.
Nilazimishwa na nikapigwa mpaka
kampani yangu mpaka sehemu zangu za siri zimefunga sasa hivi. Wakilazimisha ni sign statement.
He was released on a cash bail.
To be escorted to hospital and the medical notes be availed to the court. The in-charge Central Police Station to look into his complaint and avail a report alongside the medical notes. The file is allocated to court number 2. The bond is at 500,000.
Serafina Robi for Prime Edition.
Stakeholders in nutrition and dietetics sector are appealing to the Ministry of Health to ensure equal treatment of interns from various disciplines. KNDI Chief Executive Officer Dr. David Okeyo says nutrition and dietetics interns are not getting paid stipends unlike their counterparts in other medical disciplines. Here's that report.
Speaking during the awarding of practice licenses to certificate, diploma and degree holders at the Kenya Nutrition and Dietetics Institute, the Chief Executive Officer, Dr. David Okeyo, decried discrimination against students on the one-year mandatory internship.
We are appealing to the national government, and particularly the Ministry of Health, to treat all cadres equal and give them equal priority. We have noticed that all the interns for nutrition and dietetics that are placed in health facilities are not paid, while their counterparts are underpaid or stipend. We want them to be recognized and be paid just like the rest.
The boy-child misrepresentation is actually, I can say it is improving. It has been for a long time dominated by the female gender, but that has now improved. Actually, I also teach in the university where I witness actually a 50-50 parity.
I will use my skills to care for all humanity.
Okeyo said KNDI would engage other stakeholders to weed out cracks and urged both national government and county governments to hire only trained and licensed nutritionists to offer services in public institutions.
We have trained over 12,500 nutritionists in the country. The most unfortunate thing is that only 20% of these have been absorbed both in private and public sector. We want to appeal to the national government and also county government to ensure that they engage nutritionists and dietitians to offer quality services in health facilities.
In public health, we find solution to problems. So through researchers, any nutrition problems identified in the field, once it reaches to the public health sector, we identify strategic ways that we can use to mitigate that situation.
We offer services depending on the health goals that you want to achieve. That is personally you have to take initiative yourself. Depending on what you achieve, you want to achieve health-wise.
Ukipatiwa ushauri na a dietitian ama nutritionist ama mtu aliyefuzu kwa masomo haya, unafaa utilie manani, manake we know what we are telling you. We have seen the impact that it has in our lives.
Trevor Ngendo for Prime Edition.
Well, that story brings us to our first break right here on KBC. Remember, we are engaging the director of KEFRI and discussing that ambitious plan of tree planting. Plus, other stories coming up in business and sports. Do stay with us.
Intel kwamba mmoja wa vijana wa Burhan is coming away to be smuggled into the country.
How credible is the intel, sir?
Very credible.
Ni nani?
The bomb maker.
HQ iko na reason ya kubilivia kwamba one of Burhan's lieutenants atakuwa smuggled into a country through hii border crossing.
Wazi. to KBC Prime Edition, our socials at KBC Channel 1, my Twitter handle at Mboya24. East African Community Cabinet Secretary Rebecca Miano has called on the newly elected EALA members of Parliament to fast-track completion of projects left by their predecessors in the regional community. The CSO also took oath of allegiance as an ex-officio member, pledged government support in ensuring the success of the Kenyan chapter in the Assembly, even as she called on them to be dutiful and diligent in their service. The 9 members will now take the mantle of steering Kenya's agenda at the East African Legislative Assembly.
At the East African Legislative Assembly headquarters in Arusha, Tanzania, East African Community Cabinet Secretary Rebecca Miano takes oath of office and allegiance to the EAC.
Miano, do swear that.
She's then followed by the 9 members representing the Kenya chapter in the East African Legislative Assembly.
And that I will be faithful and fair.
With that, they transition from EALA members of Parliament elect to members of Parliament for the 5th Legislative Assembly. Once the oath of office is administered, it is time to hit the ground running, and the new Kenyan members of EALA 5 have committed to collaborate in order to push the Kenyan agenda, while at the same time fostering regional cohesion.
From the 300 million residents of East Africa, which is a potential market for our produce. So let us work hard to make sure that we capitalize on the use of that mega market.
So for us, we are interested, first of all, this. Secondly, after peace, you need to do business. So we will also be, after peace, we'll definitely be looking for more business.
EAC Cabinet Secretary Rebecca Miano challenged the lawmakers to complete the projects that were left pending by the outgoing team, while at the same time assuring them of the full support of the ministry.
There is unfinished business, a lot of legislation that was carried over to the new assembly, especially to operationalize the monetary union protocol that is still pending.
Her sentiments were echoed by the Principal Secretary Abdi Dubat, who challenged the new regional members of Parliament to use this new platform to create awareness on the Assembly among Kenyans and highlight the economic opportunities the country and the bloc stands to gain through partnerships.
Very proud that we've sent a very dynamic team, very well balanced, and people who have a lot of political experience, business experience, and a mixture of youth as well. There's a lot waiting for them. We are counting on them as a country.
With the administration of the oath of office completed here today, the 5th East African Legislative Assembly will have its first sitting tomorrow, where the elections of the Speaker will take place. Yusufar reporting for Prime Edition from EAC headquarters in Arusha, Tanzania.
The government has promised to complete works on various stalled dams across the country in the next 12 months. Among the dams that will benefit include the 38 billion shilling Itare Dam, that's in Kuresoi North, which is expected to serve the rising population of Nakuru town and its suburbs. This comes as the Ministry of Water and Sanitation decries low budgetary allocation, saying that this is affecting the ministry's development plans.
According to the CS in charge of Ministry of Water and Sanitation, Alice Wahome, the government's plan on the 100 mega dams project is still in progress, adding that 1 trillion shillings was needed to complete them.
All these dams are a bit slow. Where we are, Mwache Dam, Thwake Dam, it is possible that we can be able to fasten, to speed up the implementation so that within the next maybe 12 months we are able to launch them as completed projects.
Elsewhere, National Assembly Minority Leader Opiyo Wandanyi has called on the national government to partner with counties to revive agriculture instead of dishing out relief food.
We want the national government to partner with the county government of Siaya under the governorship of James Orengo, to ensure that the matter of agriculture is addressed with the seriousness it deserves, so that our people are not transformed into beggars who line up for handouts.
And in Narok County, stakeholders in the alcohol industry have held a public rally to sensitize residents on the effects of illicit brew, whose consumption rises during festivities.
So kwa msimu hii tunasema ile pombe yote yenye haina license hatutakubali watu wakunywe.
Meanwhile, in Kacheliba, West Pokot County, a group of young adults who underwent alternative rites of passage held a procession in Kasei to sensitize the community against the negative effects of female genital mutilation.
We bring them together with girls so that they know why it is dangerous to take girls through FGM. We also train them why it is not good to get involved in child marriage and early pregnancies.
In Migori, a section of Migori elected leaders want the government to come clear on the system of education that's currently being implemented.
Let them sit in courtrooms, let them go to Mombasa and Naivasha and make a decision so that when the president is talking, when the CS education is talking, when the PS education is talking, let us get the signal that we are heading toward a certain direction. We don't want confusion.
Finally, operations in the Nanyuki main stage were paralyzed after a standoff ensued between two rival circles over operational procedures at the stage.
Sisi for NT tumejaribu kutafuta chimo ya kubebea Meru for over 20 years until after COVID hawa akaja kwetu huko Nakuru, lakini wakapewa na wanabebaka. Wakitaka tu anything beyond that ni tupeo chimo kule tubebe na warudi pali yao hapa wabebe.
Well, it's now time for us to have a little chat here in studio with Dr. Cheboy, the director of Kenya Forest Research Institute. Thank you, Daktari, for finding time to join us.
Thank you for even having me here.
And by the way, you had placed your bet on which team? France?
Argentina.
Argentina?
Yes.
Why?
They were very aggressive and very determined to win this cup. Yeah.
Somebody told me maybe there were issues of indiscipline on their part.
They kept on improving, and with time, they knew that they were really destined to get this cup, given that they have stayed for a long time without it. So they really put everything in the football.
All right. Okay, now let's talk about this ambitious plan to plant trees. I know China has set up a framework, and they are headed they are headed in that direction. Ethiopia has also followed suit. India, I think they are also on track. But in terms of that ambitious plan, where is Kenya in that scheme of things? Where are we?
Tom, Kenya has been part of the global community in terms of setting its ambitious targets, I think since 2018, when the country set 10% tree cover as its target by 2022. And before His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta retired, he also set another target of 30% tree cover by 2050. And the new government has accelerated this attainment from 2050 to attain the 30% tree cover by 2032. As you have just said, if, the way the global communities are now doing is setting ambitious targets, because there is a lot of issues on climate change, shortage of forest products, environmental degradation, and trees are some of the solution to these particular problems. So in the area of forest sector, many countries, as you have said, have set their targets, moving towards the 10%, which is minimum recommended, and others are setting bigger ambition, like this country, which has set 30% by 2032. So it's a really call and rally by government to all citizenry in the country to move towards attaining certain forest cover for purposes of production for climate change amelioration, and many others. Yes.
That last point you have made plugs into the second question I wanted to ask. And the question is the factors that will determine the success of such an ambitious plan. Because remember, the president spoke about mobilizing a 2 million strong army, majorly the youth. So a project of that nature requires a lot of planning. So what are the factors you think that will help in, pushing that plan towards the desired goal?
As the president has said by himself that everybody will be on deck, it means there should be very strong coordination of all the efforts from the national, especially to the counties and the grassroots where the land is, and the tree planting will take place. As he has said, he will place almost 2 million green ambassadors into the ground. That one now will ensure that the land which is required to be planted are mapped, and then the planting take place, and then there is monitoring to ensure that these trees planted also grow to maturity as is expected. All this requires a very, very well structured coordination to ensure whatever we set the targets, we achieve it. And documentation or evidence has shown that we have achieved those particular set targets. So this one, the way it is said, requires a lot of well-structured coordination and supervision.
That framework is there, do you believe?
The government is already working on it. The government cannot just set such ambition without setting a well-structured framework, and I know it's going on well, and it will be launched very soon on Wednesday by the president himself. And then from there, you'll be able to see what is required of every citizen, faith-based organization, CPOs, that is a community-based, government itself, all government will be there, partners, all this will be amalgamating into an effort to drive towards that particular set target.
And even the citizens themselves?
Yeah, I'm saying that's the first. That's the front line of action.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, I took some time to look at the Chilean example. There are 3 planting programs for 3 decades. And one of the things that, one of the reasons that it failed was because of lack of an incentive policy, okay? So do you think, or is it too early, that government should consider the possibility of having a framework that gives incentives to those people who would want to, be part and parcel of this agenda?
Tree planting is a choice, and anybody who wants to plant trees, we have basket of choices you will have to look for. There are people who will plant trees for purposes of amenity, to look beautiful, get shade, get windbreaks. Those are people who will plant for that purpose, and then at the end of it, they can be able to get products. There will be people who will be going for commerce or business. They will plant trees for business, who can plant up to 1,500 acres or hectares for that purpose. So within this framework, everybody has his space on what you really want to plant. So that is the major incentive. There will be other incentives which will come later, like carbon credits. That one will come if you maintain your trees. These are being negotiated globally, that those countries who can be able to document evidence they have maintained and they have these trees, they will be able to calculate the carbon sequestration they have undertaken, and they can be paid something like a bonus. But otherwise, the way we know it is that tree planting is usually driven by the owner of the land and what he wants that tree for. So I've said there are many purposes in which this particular landowner will. But when we rally Kenyans to do that, each one of them will be going with its own objectives. There cannot be one single objective in each of them. And that one will be the driving objective which makes them to decide to invest or to set aside the land for purposes of contributing to this particular ambitious 15 billion trees.
Yeah, I ask that because if you look at us, I mean, we're predominantly agricultural, yes. But look at that demographic of perhaps 18 to 32. A lot of them, there's a slow uptake in moving into agriculture. But before I forget, just explain to somebody who has heard that word, carbon credit. You called it carbon credit. Maybe somebody is watching and he doesn't understand what that means. What is it in simpler terms?
In simpler terms, trees sequester carbon, which is the real air which is giving the globe to warm. So when you remove it, you reduce its concentration. So those countries which are now planting trees as part of contribution to mitigation of climate change will have the tree, as it continues growing, it puts up volume, and that volume includes carbon component of it. So there will be more uptake of carbon from the air into this mass of trees. So what will happen is, there is already mechanisms in which countries which have planted trees are able to trade the carbons which are already stored in those trees for the time it is giving that tree without cutting. So you'll be paid certain money for certain volume of carbon you have sequestered into those trees or trees.
Okay, tell me, because you see it's very common to see prominent people like you launching tree planting initiatives, okay? And it's more or less carried on a very ad hoc basis. But we hardly hear of, you know, the number of trees that survived to maturity, okay? And they say that if you cannot measure what you can't track. Yes. Okay, so my question is, because I know countries like Vietnam have done very well, are we thinking of incorporating an integrated system where then we are able to track progress as we advance towards our goals?
That is what you have said is exactly what has been the problem in this country, where everybody was planting trees everywhere, every day, every year. But this is now, it's the first time when the country is really putting up a structure in which they will say, everybody to come and we plant the trees, and then we record these trees, and then we grow these trees, and we continue monitoring these trees to reach that particular target. So this one is all government, all citizens coming together to, and then the government is putting up structures in which these trees which you have grown and which you have planted and be growing are really monitored and documented, so that we are in a position to say, in this particular county, the following areas has been put in tree planting and the number of trees planted, and then we continue monitoring to see those trees are growing, unlike before where somebody could go and plant, and then nobody knows where he has planted them and if he has gone back. But even now, as we move, certain organizations are already hiring the local communities once they plan for the next 3 years to continue maintaining those trees to ensure that they survive. So there's more structures now. When you plan, you should not only plan and you live like the way you used to do. You now plan and you record and you continue maintaining, either hiring the local people or doing it yourself if you are a farmer. So we are now putting a better structured way of planting the trees than before. And this is, I'll say, the first time in which we have come as a country from 2018 up to now, organizing ourselves to ensure that when we plant trees, we manage them, we maintain, and we grow them into big trees.
Okay. Yeah. So we expect to have a monitoring mechanism. I remember there was a survey that showed that one of the counties that was leading in terms of forest cover was, I think, Nyeri.
Nyeri, yes.
Nyeri was doing, was it 40% or something? Somewhere around there. Yeah. But if you look at the bottom of that pile, there was counties, I think, like Kitui and so on.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you, so what is it that is favoring Nyeri?
Of course, you must be sure that the climatic conditions are very, very critical in tree growing.
Number one,
and in terms of cheapness, in terms of the cost, and in terms of also that tree performing well. And so as compared to drylands or midlands, trees which are there take longer, and it will be very expensive to maintain them as compared to the highlands. And also, reservation of forest estates, which is government, were done mostly in the highland or high potential areas like in countries like Yomarakwet, Nyeri, and so on. So they have higher advantage as compared to the other countries where there was no forest reservation. So the forests which are there contribute to their percentages easier. And the farmers were able to borrow the technology tree and the technique of planting trees from the forest department as early as 1950s when they were marking boundaries. So culture of tree growing, it was more pronounced in the high potential areas as compared to the drylands.
The drylands?
Yes.
And by the way, when you talk of drylands, my mind went to areas like Kitui, dry areas. And I think you're working on a project there. How's that going?
What we have done in Kitui since 1985, we started one of the most intensive trials of potential tree growing in the drylands. And in that particular period, we tested up to 88 species and provenances which can do well in the drylands. From those 88, we have made some recommendation of 12, and then now more advanced on 7, 8, and 2 are now being undertaken tree improvement programs to do the commercialization.
Okay.
So we have done in the drylands. We can now, in fact, this particular year, we have gone around the counties in the drylands trying to get land where we can demonstrate these good performing technologies to enable tree growers and investors in the drylands to be able to commercialize or grow commercial trees.
Okay.
Yeah.
As we come towards the close of this interview, there are some critics who are arguing that some of these tree planting initiatives, they don't really address the root causes of environmental degradation. What do you tell those critics?
This country, the degradation are in various levels, and trees is one of the elements which can try to stabilize soil and water. There are trenches, there are terraces, there are many other interventions which landowners can undertake. So trees is only one of the options which can really help the country stabilize soil erosion. You see our waters are very red if you move around. These are soils we are moving from lands and making these lands infertile. So the trees is only one of the component interventions in which it can be able to help you manage conservation within a landscape. Yeah.
Nairobi is now known for holding major international conferences. I know there is something that is coming up.
Yeah.
What is it we are bidding?
We are happy to announce as KFRI that we from Brazil we have been preparing a bid to bring in scientists into this country in 2029 in what's called UFRO Congress 2029, the 27th, and only 19 countries have held this particular congress in its 125 years, and KFRI now for Kenya is now the finalist with Edmonton, Canada. That's Nairobi and Kenya are the finalists for 2029 UFRO Congress.
Wow.
And the first vice president of UFRO will be here tomorrow to evaluate the venues which we have proposed as KFRI.
Yeah.
That is KICC and University of Nairobi.
KICC good.
Yes, so once they finish, it's only one-day exercise.
Yeah.
When they finish, we shall be in India in April 2024 to do final discussions with Edmonton, Canada, and then it will be announced, and the winner will be given the certificate to start preparation for 2029 in Stockholm, Sweden, April 2024.
2024.
We are very happy that we are the only two out of the almost potential 121 countries which have not held this particular international congress.
Yeah, we are just coming off the World Cup finals, which Argentina won. Tell me, what stands between us and winning that bid to host that conference? Because why I'm asking?
Yes.
Because we've hosted. Remember the Blue Economy Conference?
Yes.
How many heads of state?
Yes.
All right. How many delegates came here? How many people were on that conference? Many. I think it was over 30 heads of state, heads of delegations, and so on. So Kenya and Nairobi has actually demonstrated that we have that global muscle.
There are two factors. One, the government commitment. That is one of the requirements of the rules, which they have to commit that they will provide all the conducive environment to hold this particular conference.
Yeah.
We have all the facilities. Even before I started this particular one, I did not know the capacity, as you have said, which Kenya can do. We have also the advantage that it will be the first time being held in Africa. We got endorsement from AU and other regional bodies in East and Central Africa and even Southern Africa. So we are really having very great advantage as against Edmonton, Canada. But as I said, the government commitment and our presentation tomorrow of the venues which we have already visited ourselves and evaluated, and they are first class. So we are seeing we are winning this.
I thank you so much. And good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck. Those two critical things, government commitment and their level of preparedness in the presentation tomorrow. Dr. Joshua Cheboy, Director of Kenya Forest Research Institute, talking to us, giving us some insights, and basically helping us to better understand the issues around moving the country to that green space, planting trees. And you remember the president announcing that there is a 2 million strong army, huge percentage of them the young people. Well, we're going to take a short break. I don't know whether we're taking a short break or I'm handing it over to my colleague Betty Kiptum, who's on the other side of the studio wearing a smile. Betty.
Hello, Tom. Thank you for handing it over to me. Of course, a very important conversation there about greening Kenya. Make sure you play your part, plant a tree. It might save the earth. Well, time to get the latest in the world of business. My name is Betty Kiptum. The government has rolled out a unified human resource information system and upgraded government human resource ICT infrastructure to consolidate, simplify, modify human resource and payroll all public institutions into a single platform. Public Service Cabinet Secretary Aisha Jumwa says the move seeks to effectively manage the public wage bill, which in June this year crossed 500 billion.
Public institutions have been using different and independent human resources information system to undertake HR functions and reporting, limiting the government's ability to make sound decisions on the wage bill management, budgeting and national planning. Data from the central bank indicates that public wage bill hit the $500 billion mark in the financial year ended June, representing a 5% year-on-year increase. The adoption of a unified human resource information system is expected to consolidate HR data and wage bill in the public service, integrate them through a single system for decision making.
Beginning of a journey that will transform the management of the human resource information across the public service, being enhancing availability and accessibility of information in the desired format and ensuring compliance and good corporate governance in human resource management practices.
All public institutions have until July next year to migrate to the new system that is also expected to enhance good corporate governance.
All public service organizations to seamlessly transition from the current IT system to the new unified human resource information system within the provided timelines. There is a lot of work to be done by departments, MDS, to migrate into this. And we have periodic reports, okay, maybe fortnightly, so that we can be able to monitor who is complying and who is not complying, and why they are not complying, so that we all walk this journey together.
The system is also geared towards clearing ghost workers for the government's payroll, a menace that has seen counties pay 35 billion shillings to non-existent staff. Migration will be done in 5 phases, starting from next month, in which a unique payroll will be given to public servants. Wairi Mujenga for Prime Edition.
Now, tea factories have been ordered to pay tea farmers based on the prevailing dollar rates. Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mithika Linturi says farmers lose millions of shillings through unfair exchange rates and is calling on tea marketing agencies to comply with payments based on the central bank's exchange rate.
The government has asked the Kenya Tea Development Agency, KTDA, to take up banks on the payment of the bonus based on the dollar exchange rate. Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mithika Linturi says farmers lose up to 6 shillings per kg due to unfair exchange rates.
If the dollar in the market here is exchanging for maybe 127 shillings, then there is no reason to why the banks should pay or buy the KTDA dollar at 119. But that's how we are losing money that would have really gone to the farmer.
Actually, fetch is better in the market when we want, but we want to ensure that whatever we have is able to ensure that we get the best rate in the market so that the best income can be able to go back to the farmer.
He says implementation of the Tea Act 2020 will proceed and will culminate to the establishment of the tea fund that will be funded by the tea levy.
The tea fund will come from the tea levy, and the formula for coming up with the levy is set out in the law. So once that law is enacted, it is out of the application of that formula that will determine how much money we will be able to collect through the tea.
Linturi says the government will push ahead with the maize and rice import plans.
No farmer complain anywhere about anything. because it's my responsibility as the Minister of Agriculture to protect my farmers. It is me who is running up and down to see how to subsidize inputs so that they can bring down the cost of production of food. So, and I've also a responsibility as Minister to ensure the country has food to eat.
He says an assessment on the current food stock in the country is ongoing, with the government open for more tax breaks on food imports to cushion Kenyans against high cost of commodities.
Be assured, my greatest responsibility is to ensure there is food for everyone in the country. And not only food that is also secure.
Benson Ruba reporting for Prime Edition.
Now, the government is set to unveil a multi-agency team that will be tasked with reviewing laws that govern the construction industry to help improve quality assurance and get rid of those fueling cases of collapsing buildings. Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development Cabinet Secretary Zakaria Njeru says this is in response to a series of buildings collapsing, which have raised questions on the quality of contractors.
Several buildings have collapsed in recent weeks, with the latest being in Nairobi and Kiambu counties, putting into question the quality of contractors in the construction industry. To address these, Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development Cabinet Secretary Zakaria Njeru says there is need to review the laws that govern the construction industry that has given a leeway to some to flout the laid down regulations. Njeru has pledged to constitute a multi-agency team to look into ways of improving quality assurance in the construction industry with the aim of reducing cases of collapsing buildings.
One of the key proposed amendments is the inclusion of a list of offences in the Act, including contractors undertaking projects not registered by authority, failure of contractors to abide by the code of conduct, and masquerading as officers of the authority. The review of the fact is subject to the approval of Cabinet, after which the amendments will be published by the Office of the Attorney General.
Plans are also underway to set up a construction information system which will integrate various functions within the construction industry.
One of the key things we want to achieve is presence in 47 counties. We have put forward a revised policy, HR policy, and we look forward to its implementation so that we are more than a Huduma center of 2 staff in every county. We are fully fledged branch of NCA in every county.
They were speaking in Nairobi during the National Construction Authority's 10th anniversary gala, where officials announced plans to put up offices in all counties. Frederick Muki for Prime Edition.
Now, Frederick Mwoki's story there brings us to a close of the business news this evening. But of course, Prime Edition continues. Karen Kibet is coming up with the latest in the world of sports. My name is Betty Kiptum. Do enjoy the rest of your night. Bye-bye.
Welcome to 888bet Casino, a world of winning opportunities 24 hours a day. Choose from thousands of games across live casino, table and slots, including favorite titles Burning Classics, Wolf Gold, and the Amazing Aviator. But hurry, 1 million is to be given away before 31st December. Join the thousands of winners playing 888bet Casino daily. Play today on www.888bet.co.ke. 888bet Casino, made to win bigger.
Welcome back. Thank you for keeping it KBC Prime Edition. It's good to bring back to normal programming because a journey that started in 20th November culminated yesterday night with a thrilling match pitting Argentina and Brazil. No, Argentina and France. Brazil was my team. Argentina reigned supreme, and courtesy of KBC, most of you watched the games. In 2026, we do hope we will do the same. Now let's take a look at some of the stories making headlines tonight. Now, Qatar ambassador to Kenya, Jabr bin Ali Dosari, says this year's FIFA World Cup has proved that no country is limited. The Middle East country successfully hosted the 2022 FIFA World Cup finals, which ended yesterday with an exciting final game between France and Argentina. He said his country will continue to support Kenyan football.
Speaking during Qatar's National Day event held at a Nairobi hotel, Qatar ambassador to Kenya, Jabir bin Ali Al Dosari, said building soccer players in the country can only excel if they get necessary support.
Kenyan, they are our brothers. Kenya, the good people supporting us. There is more than 13,500 people supporting Qatar there. From the securities, from the other services, a lot. And we have volunteer also more than 950, 952, 1,000. They are supporting us. This is the Kenyan's country. This is the second country to our brothers, Kenya.
He said that his country would continue to support Kenyan football through Aspire Academy football programs.
Yeah, anything they need will have to be with them, because the Kenyan, they didn't forget us also. When our time is coming, they are with us. So how we said now we'll be with them also, we'll support them. Definitely we'll support them.
The academy, which is based in Doha, was founded in 2004 with a goal to scout and help develop young soccer talents. Defense Cabinet Secretary Adan Duale said Kenya should emulate Qatar, which successfully hosted the 2022 World Cup, as they continue with their plans to host a major international soccer tournament.
Kenya remains a willing partner, keen on working with your beautiful country towards the fulfillment of the Qatar Vision 2030. As Qatar seeks to diversify and expand its economy, the government of Kenya, under the leadership of Dr. William Ruto, confirms its willingness to enhance business.
For Prime Edition Sports, I'm Daniel Mwendwa.
Thank you, Dan, for that report. Moving on, with the 2023 World Rally Championship calendar already decided, local drivers are outlining very firm plans about how they intend to fine-tune their race contraptions in the run-up to the 2023 WRC Safari Rally Kenya, which is slated for 22nd to 25th June next year. Nairobi-based Skoda Fabia Rally 2 driver and 2021 Kenya Motorsport Personality of the Year, Akif Virani, is leaving nothing to chance as he braces up for his third career WRC Safari Rally participation next year.
A sizable number of home drivers will break for next week's festive season, after which they will kickstart their major phase of preparations in January next year. Nairobi-based Skoda Fabia Rally 2 driver and 2021 Kenya Motorsports Personality of the Year, Akif Virani, is leaving nothing to chance as he braces up for his third career WRC Safari Rally participation next year. Kenya National Rally Championship first runner-up Jasmeet and Ravichana have plans to upgrade from their long-time Mitsubishi Lancer Evo X machine to a state-of-the-art Rally 2 in order to approach the 2023 Safari and KNRC campaigns a lot more competitively. Speedster Karan Patel in his Ford Fiesta Rally 2 will have another busy season, which will entail a spirited KNRC title defense, the WRC Safari, with which he managed the top 10 in 2021, as well as the elusive FIA African Rally Championship ARC title, which he lost to Zambian Rilwe Gomez on home stretch in Lusaka.
And Argentina star Lionel Messi has vowed to continue playing for his country despite finally realizing his lifetime ambition of winning the World Cup. We will have more stories tomorrow. My name is Karen Kibet. For now, have yourself a peaceful night. I hand you back to my colleague, Mboya.
Quit smiling in the style of a mile per hour. She wanted to bring Brazil back, but I think she realized. Thank you, Marakwet, for that sporty update. I think we got to go now. I want to thank you on behalf of the people in the back end. You don't get to see them. I get the credit, but they're the ones who do the work. So from Nairobi, Kenya, I want to wish you a pleasant evening. Good night from Nairobi. I'm Mboya. Bye.
Kupata Waibrania kama sikiza tuni yako, bonyeza star 811 star 817 hash.
Yesu Kristo ni yule yule, jana, leo na hata milele. Wahibrania 13 mstari wa 8.
Kupata Waibrania, bonyeza star 811 star 817 hash. Star 811 star 817 hash.
Welcome to 888bet Casino, a world of winning opportunities 24 hours a day. Choose from thousands of games across live casino, table and slots, including favorite titles Burning Classics, Wolf Gold, and the amazing Aviator. But hurry, 1 million is to be given away before 31st December. Join the thousands of winners playing 888bet Casino daily. Play today on www.888bet.co.ke. 888bet Casino, made to win bigger.